Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Convos with Sazón with yours truly, Cata Mejía. With me today is Leandra Caprini-Rosica. She is a creative business coach and also a wedding photographer. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
Good. Hi, love. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to start chatting because we have quite the trajectory to talk about.
Yep.
So let's talk early beginnings. Let's talk your childhood and let's talk when you first realized you had a love for photography. How did your interest, if at all, at a young age, manifest itself?
Oh my gosh. Well, first, I feel like I'm in like the presence of fame, having like watched your podcast now. It's so exciting to be on the other side, and yeah, I'm super excited to be here. So, I think that honestly, like in preparing for this and thinking about kind of your own story and trajectory and like being a storyteller now through my career, it's been really fun and interesting to kind of think back of like what makes us who we are and what makes our story unique, right? And so when I think about kind of growing up and what made photography kind of the only choice for me was this beautiful Venn diagram of like something I knew that I could be good at, something I knew that I loved, and something I knew I could make a career out of. And it was not this thing that I was, it really was just a vehicle. That's what it was. It started, photography was not this thing initially that I was like, I have to do this. But the more I got into it, the more I felt like it was such a part of my heart that I couldn't see my life not doing it. And it just kind of snowballed, right? And having started in video production, and my dad gave me a camera when I was 11. In thinking back about all these pieces this week, I really realized how there was no other way.
So 11 was, if you could pinpoint a start, start for you.
I think so. Yeah, my dad was kind of this self-proclaimed family documentarian. And for the first, I would say 10 years of my life, I felt like my dad was this red blinking light because he always had this vintage, now vintage, back then it was not vintage, camcorder in my face that before my parents got divorced, my mom hated, and I just learned to, like, that was my dad.
Okay, let's talk about your parents for a minute because I know that you come from a family where empathy is at the core, right? So you have a business owner, you've got an entrepreneur as well. So how has empathy at a young age shaped not only your outlook on life, but also how you treat clients and how you cater it to each of their needs?
Oh my gosh, what a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think relationships and connection and empathy and how you treat people is at the core of every solid, successful business owner. And I think a lot of the times where we lack in certainty or strategy, it can 100% of the time be supported through connection, empathy, and just attention. Attention to people, attention to detail, just having that level of paying attention and the power that is in that. And I think at a super young age, I was taught that that is your superpower. I really struggled in school. I got diagnosed with ADHD and generalized anxiety disorder when I was super young. And I felt like traditional school was never made for me. And so quickly I learned that in order to stand out and in order to create this kind of room that I felt like I belonged in, I had to do things differently.
You've mentioned photography and you've mentioned the camera being a vehicle, right? And you also mentioned video production. So how have those two going hand in hand taught you about the importance of storytelling? And also, there is a difference between simply taking a picture and there is something completely on the flip side of actually telling a story or giving some insight into an emotion of sorts. So how have those two kind of married together?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think when I was in video production, I learned the nuances and the necessity of mixing movement and meaning. And how powerful it is to have understanding and real depth with people and the power of building real relationships and connections so that you can capture the biggest and the smallest and the in-between moments as they unfold and do those memories justice for people. And when I worked in video production, I was more in like the commercial and nonprofit kind of industries, and now shooting weddings and being a creative coach, I feel like I see this kind of not gap, but this real need for people to feel that level of understanding and attention to detail when they're hiring a photographer, when you're hiring a business coach, when you're going out on this ledge to really believe and invest in someone. And so I think what video production really taught me was how to walk into a room, how to read a room, and how to build trust with people so seamlessly, because without trust, we have nothing.
I completely agree, especially because not everyone is comfortable in front of a camera, you know, especially in an intimate setting where it's an engagement shoot or a couple shoot of any kind, and on some of the biggest days of their lives, which is the wedding. So how do you add in early on from the very first step of even just them inquiring, start building that trust? Because I'm sure it's a process. It's not just like, hey, we have trust now, let's go.
Here we are. Yeah, 100%. No, I think that's the secret sauce, right? Like, my Italian is coming up. Like, that is the secret sauce. No, but like, truly, that is what we all crave, this like level of deep, deep trust. And like you just said, it is especially essential for vendors. Yeah, and so for anyone, you know, planning their wedding or looking at hiring a photographer, this is what I've told my friends, and this is what I hope I convey as a vendor when people are inquiring with me, is that I want you to see my heart as much as my strategy. I want you to be able to understand quickly, clarity is power. Clarity always leads to this level of confidence that I think cannot happen otherwise. So maybe that kind of clarity is a really clear website. Maybe that kind of clarity is a really easy workflow process. Maybe, but no matter what it is, and everyone does it differently, which is the beautiful thing about business ownership. But being able to have your empathy and strategy and clarity be so easily digestible and coming from a place of true heart and passion, that seeps into everything.
Yeah.
And it bleeds through, right? It's impossible for it not to. And I think one of the biggest parts of my workflow that I will never abandon is a connection call or a discovery call, whatever you want to call it. I do this with, you know, wedding photography clients and coaching clients alike, because I just think when you can see someone's eyes, when you can incorporate another sense, right? We're I don't want to say like sensual beings, but like sense in the sense of when you can have another way to experience that person, that automatically increases trust. Psychologically, if we can see someone's eyes, we build trust with them. So having a call before you engage in this huge relationship of time investment, energy investment, financial investment, that to me is the best thing you can do to build trust, is really just talk to them and learn about them, have that understanding.
I love that you lead with that, with empathy as well as care in all senses, because you've had so much time to focus on the clarity of how to convey your talent and what it is that you're hoping to do with your work. But as I'm sure you can agree, maybe not all the couples who approach you have a clear sense of exactly what they want. They'll see your work and they'll be like, we love your work, but how does that fit our vision? So how do you meet clients in the middle or help them discover what it is that they want while bringing your experience to the table?
What a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think weddings is hard because I think it's gotten to be and can be a very performative experience. And
maybe a hot take, but I agree.
I mean, a little bit of a hot take. I love weddings. I will always have a soft spot in my heart for weddings because it's my career. It's like, you know, a passion. I love love. I'm, you know, I don't want to say hopeless, but I am a romantic at heart. And so like, I'm not knocking weddings at all, but I think it can quickly become a performative art and industry, and it has. But I think like being able to find your voice, find your one of a kindness within that, and being able to double down on that, being able to kind of let the noise go. And I'm giving myself advice right now because I'm planning a wedding and am having...
And we'll talk about that too in a bit.
Gosh, a little bit of decision paralysis, as you know, we've chatted about. But I think being able to really weed out the noise, hire vendors that you deeply trust, coming back to that. Now that I'm on the other side of it, I see this practice that I've been doing for years and honoring how valuable it really is. I don't just do this for fun. I don't just have connection calls and build trust like it's my job. For my own health, it's because I know how much it matters. I know how much time you spend with these people. And what an investment it is. So I don't know if that really answered the question, but...
Yes, it started to, but I would really love to know how you meet clients where they are, regardless of whether or not they know in that moment when they initially meet with you what it is that they want. So that progress and the process that it takes to get from the initial discovery call to the outcome of them hopefully loving the images that you capture, because they're more than just images. You know, they're moments in time that symbolize a milestone for many.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I see. So I think like I want to take this in two parts, because one of it is the trendiness of different styles of photography. And I think sometimes people will come to a call or they'll submit an inquiry on my website. And this happens a lot of times where people think they want a certain kind of photography, or they'll think that they, you know, have, they're using these buzzwords because that's what they've been fed on social media and what they've seen at friends' weddings. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think, you know, getting from inquiry to these beautiful legacy leaving photos that end up living in their homes and their hearts for years and years, you know, and end up becoming things that their kids see and their grandkids see, is like, that is all not only based on trust, but based on their belief in their own vision. And I think helping people see their vision and being able to turn it into something physical. Human beings we're so like deeply in need and desiring of connection and relationship. And when someone else that you're hiring can see your vision, that immediately connects you. And so I think having that capability to just like listen more than you talk. And I'm talking a lot right now because I'm on a podcast.
But it's your time. It's your time.
Listen. But just being able to really hear people's vision, because I believe that weddings are not a one size fits all. It's one of a kind. And that's why I try to create photographs that are really one of a kind, that stand the test of time, because every single love story is unique. You should be able to have photos that are just as unique as your story. And so I think sharing that and being able to really get to the bottom of like, what makes you you as individuals, and then also what made your story so unique, and how can I understand the nuances of your love, of your story, of your travels, your time together, your relationship, the depth of who you two are as a unit, then I can tell your story.
I love that. Your work stands for timeliness, and you also mentioned kind of like the pushback of trends, right? And how much that can influence what couples come in with, or the idea that they're hoping to achieve. So how do you still maintain your work timeless while still living in such an age that is very focused on what everyone else is doing?
Girl. That is the magic question that we're all asking ourselves, because I mean, you and I were just having a conversation about like our closets last week too, and trying to, you know, refine and define our own personal style as we get into our 30s and like as you grow and you have smaller closets in New York City, all of these things, right? I think that's also a part of just this refinement muscle and being able to have conviction and belief in your own style, and photography is no different. And so as I started off, you know, shooting elopements during the pandemic. I started my business right before the pandemic, and then I did mostly, you know, micro elopements in the hills of North Carolina. And so obviously my style was very different then. And I love the trajectory of how it's gotten to evolve and change as I've, you know, moved to New York City, and now we've lived in Brooklyn for almost 5 years. And so the influence of the architecture and the experiences we've had living here has undoubtedly changed my style. And I wouldn't have it any other way because I know that that's a part of who I am now. And when you hire a photographer, you're not just hiring, nobody pays for photos. You pay for a vision and a feeling and the trust in someone to give you these pieces of your own legacy immortalized. And so I think trends can get really, it can be really challenging to follow your own vision and not do what's trendy or or wait, how am I going to say this? Do the opposite of what is like for myself. I'm very individualistic and I really want to do the opposite of what is trendy. But sometimes I like what's trendy. That in my heart of hearts, like that is just what I feel good with, what I resonate with. And it's so okay to just allow yourself to follow that thing that feels good, even if it's trendy, even if it's not trendy. And so I think the way I would define my style is I take a super documentary approach, yes, but I also lead with direction. And I'm never going to leave my couples feeling like, what do I do with my hands? Because you should have some direction.
Yes. And it's so helpful too. It's so helpful.
I mean, how would you know? And so my whole philosophy is knowing when to lean in and knowing when to step back so that those natural, beautiful, candid moments can unfold, and taking the approach of kind of a art director and knowing how to step in and direct and share and support my couples with real, not just prompts, but direction that emulates how they would interact and be loving in their own life.
Yes. And I love that you're a girl's girl and just like a people's girl at your heart of hearts.
Girl. I'm going to steal that.
Yes, a people's girl, because going back to that point of trust, there is nothing that I will want more than in that process knowing that the other person on the camera has my back. If I have something in my
100%.
teeth, if I have a stray hair, if I've got a booger, something.
You know I'm telling you.
Exactly. And
But
that's
with
so
love.
important, especially within the context of all of these milestone moments. I am also curious to know, because I've been dying to ask you, why did you choose weddings? I know you said you love, but there's so many other types of photography. There's fashion, which I know that you like on a personal front. There's landscape, there's architecture, there's travel. So what about weddings spoke to you?
I think initially it was, if I'm honest, I never wanted to do weddings. I was really scared by them. I was scared about being a small fish in a big pond of a very saturated industry. And all wedding photographers, if anyone is listening, you know that every day, every time you go to a wedding or book a client, there is competition. And it is a super competitive industry, but there is room at the table for literally everyone. There are so many people getting married that even though it's competitive, it does not mean one person's success takes away from anyone else's. But I think initially when I was young and new and a little bit scared, I had no idea that it was something that I could do. It just felt beyond me. And so I really rejected it for many years. When the pandemic hit, I was a brand photographer for women-owned businesses. And I loved it. I thought that that was the thing. And I quickly realized that my pull and desire to have meaningful relationships and depth and my own, kind of sadness of not seeing a really functional and beautiful marriage in my life was something that I wanted to stay close to. I'm so fascinated about how people fall in love. I'm so fascinated with love and connection and how it kind of runs our life. And just the closeness to other people and the magic that can come from that I think, I kind of started dipping my toes in right before the pandemic hit. Thankfully, I got the courage to start doing elopements, and then the whole world shut down. So I really leaned on that through the pandemic. And those elopements turned into intimate weddings, and those intimate weddings turned into large celebrations, and those large celebrations turned into luxury New York City weddings. And
here we are.
I think it just kind of snowballed, and
Yeah. What about shooting weddings was scary for you?
Oh my gosh. I think just the idea that, well, listen, there's a huge risk. There's a massive responsibility. that you take on when you enter into not only someone's love in life, but the holder of their memories. Right. And so, yes, I could talk about how I have dual backups and, the kind of cameras I use and the kind of hard drives that I have that make sure that everyone's memories are safe forever and ever. And I have heard horror stories. That has never happened to me. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Yep.
But I think really it's a muscle memory. It's practice of going into it again and again scared. And I wish I had a more eloquent answer for you.
No, it doesn't. You can be real.
But I think the reality is that I just did it scared enough times to allow myself to just the excitement and the gratitude started overwhelming the fear.
And I would almost argue that it wasn't fear. It was just acknowledgement of the importance of a role that you had. And like you mentioned, it all ties back to the responsibility.
Huge, yeah.
So props to you, because I mean, I've literally never done it. I don't think I ever will, but I can only imagine.
You would be a killer wedding photographer. Just your personality and your
listen,
excitement.
if you need an assistant.
I mean, girl, your kind of energy behind the lens it's just like your vibe is contagious. And that's what people need, right? A lot of the times it is just that encouragement. Obviously, yes, there's like talent and practice, but that kind of encouragement and love and just like you said, the respect and the I've got your backness is so important. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of practice, musicians, they put in hours of practice in between performances. Practice makes perfect across all industries. What does practice look like in your industry, be in between scheduled shoots?
Oh my gosh. Wow, it's like you do this or something. These are fantastic questions. Practice. Okay, so practice for me is similar to inspiration. And I think there is no level, and I think any excellent photographer would agree with this, hopefully, that there is no level that you will get to that you no longer need to practice, that you no longer need inspiration. You've made it, right? That's not what we're here for. But I think practice looks really different for me now than it did when I was shooting my first 1, 2, 3 weddings. Practice today really looks like paying attention. It looks like slowing down. The business that I have now looks nothing like what I thought a successful business looked like when I was 23 when I started this.
Okay, tell me more.
You're like, say more words.
And what I mean by tell me more is, what was success for you back then versus what have you realized it to be now?
Success back then was shooting 50 weddings a year, working 40 plus hours a week, grinding, hustling, being this like imaginary boss babe that everybody told you was like the right way to have a creative business and be a female entrepreneur. And I am so happy I woke up to the reality that less really can be more. And as a truly recovering workaholic who saw my parents be deep, deep workaholics, I think I've so redefined what accomplishment and success looks and feels like. And I'm so grateful for the spaciousness and freedom in my life. And sometimes that does look like being selective and taking on less work and putting 110% into the clients that I do take on, knowing that, yes, I don't have, I don't pay a lot for, a social media manager or marketing or whatever, but I put 110 back into my clients so that those reviews really do work as my marketing team, because I care so deeply about these couples that I get to work with. And so success today is it's so vastly different than what I thought. The little girl in me who just so deeply wanted to be in these important rooms and be a creative and have my own autonomy. She is shocked that I can have a sustainable business that allows me to travel the world and, make these really lasting relationships with couples that really deeply trust me and that I love working for and have built these, wonderful bonds with. But it's so different now than I think, the rhetoric of the world tells us that in order to be successful, you have to, hit certain numbers or have a certain strategy or make a certain amount of money. And I think in the past few years, I've really learned that it's not all about how much you make or the specific strategy. It's rather like this piece that I think we're all looking for. And like, yes, don't get me wrong. Like I'll be the first to say that I am, you know, connection motivated, money motivated. And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also think that it takes some real time and also some real like introspection to figure out what your piece is and what success is to you. And it's different for everybody.
Yes. And to your credit, you have reached in a way the success that you envisioned back then. The biggest difference being it was on your terms.
Yeah.
And not dictated by what you thought society demanded of you or anything like that. I mean, honestly, being able to make your own schedule, I know is a double-edged sword, but what a luxury, you know?
100%.
Like, yes, you have to work twice as hard for it, you know, because there isn't a fake sense of stability that maybe corporate America provides, but you're also not selling your soul. You're doing it on your terms.
Exactly.
So mad respect for that. I also want to ask you, as you've developed a creative eye, I know that with experience comes, in every sense of the word as well, a keen eye for details. And also you've mentioned, you know, I can tell immediately when a couple is in love or versus like, there's something
Don't out
questionable.
me.
So dive into that. Like, give us the tea, obviously without revealing any client information, but just
No
generally
names.
speaking, when it comes to experience, like, what are the tall tale signs?
Yeah. I mean, first, like, let me say, all of my couples, I think, are madly in love and have beautiful stories and are, you know, such wonderful individuals and great duos. I think specifically, you know, like when you're capturing a celebration of this caliber, you're noticing every detail. You're noticing, you know, and personally, maybe one of my favorite parts of weddings is when you see the bride's best friend, you know, interact with her future husband's, you know, grandmother for the first time. Those little connections and relationships that might never exist in a vacuum in another part of their life is like so insanely special. And I think being able to see those things and pay attention to those little moments and pieces and memories, like that's what our lives are made up of. Our lives are not made up of the big moments. They're made up of these like little glances and hugs, and being able to notice that, that's what I see.
Yeah.
I don't see like, is this relationship going to work out or not? And like, you know, my gosh, I hope that every single couple I've ever had stays together. But what I really see is like, my couples have taught me so much about love and about understanding and about partnership. And I'm so indebted to them for that.
Speaking of the little moments, because I can't help but think as you talk, you know, the small things aren't that small. You know, in the grand scheme of things,
You're right.
The little things are everything, you know. How have you come to terms with, if you've been in this position, accepting the fact that you can't be everywhere at once? And there is a chance that you missed the shot, you know, but the ones that you captured are more than enough, and they still had the same love and care that you otherwise would have applied to getting the shots that you weren't able to get.
Oh my gosh. Fascinating question. Okay, let me think about this one. I think, okay, one, the recognition that we are human.
Yes.
Like we're human. I'm sorry. That is, and I know when you hire a photographer, again, I'm coming at this from two lenses now. The bride that is actively trying to book vendors for her own wedding, and the, you know, 6+ years of wedding photography experience and being, you know, someone that captures love. I think you have to own your humanness. The best preparation is amazing, you know? Like I work with planners and other vendors and my couples meticulously before these celebrations, but I always prepare people for the unexpected. And I think the best photographers are, you know, the best photographers never say, I should have thought about that. They're anticipating constantly. This visual anticipation is so needed. And I think when you can marry, no pun intended, this real acknowledgement of our own humanness, and that, yes, there might be moments missed despite our best effort not to, especially if you have a great second shooter or third shooter and a team that you rely on and trust, and working with those people, time and time again builds that relationship. And so you can kind of work in tandem. We can talk more about that. But I think just owning your humanness, one, and understanding that you're going to be in the pursuit of grabbing those great shots. And then also just anticipating, being able to have that level of anticipation and, oh, well, this is happening, so this might happen next. Or she, the mother of the groom is feeling stressed, maybe I'll get her some water. Those little things help the shots and help the final gallery be so one of a kind and seamless that I think you can refine and fine tune your skill as much as possible, but without those pieces, that to me is just as important.
Yeah. You started talking about this, which is why I want to dive deeper into it. And it's the fact that wedding photographers, they don't just click a button and take pictures. There is so much more that goes into the start to finish process. And we've talked about the building trust. We've talked about physically being present. But you also talk about your work in a sense of I'm an old friend to my clients, So talk about that. Talk about the behind the scenes. What would people be surprised to know goes under your wheelhouse, even if it's not officially in your, quote, job description?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, so, okay, I'll be so honest, and I hope that there are some longtime photographers that get a kick out of this. There was this whole branding angle when we first started that was like, I'm the best friend. Hire me because I'll be your best friend. And like that just, can I use the word chuggy?
Yeah.
Okay. It feels so chuggy now. Like we are not trying to be these people's best friend. And I'm going to be so real right now. We're
Please
not.
do.
And it doesn't work. That is an angle. But frankly, it does two things. It gets you into a cycle of burnout where you feel like you have to show up for people way, way past what is actually required. Two, it puts you in a position where it actually, I think, diminishes the quality of your work and the capability that you have as a visual documentarian. And so I think there is a fine line. And over the years of refining my business, I feel like I've found a place that feels really good. And what that is not a best friend. It's not your confidant. I'm a guide. I love to help my couples. I love to help lead them through their wedding journey as a resource. And yes, maybe an old friend. Yes, maybe a trusted member of their team. But, and I will say oftentimes I end up becoming friends after the wedding is over with these people because they're lovely people. They're wonderful. And we've shared this like very intimate thing. This, we've bonded. And I think that's totally okay. This happens to photographers all the time, I think. I can only speak for my experience. But I really value that because I value these people.
Yeah. What is something you could tell both couples that you've worked with and future couples to come is actually happening behind the lens beyond just taking the picture? Because there's a lot going on, I'm sure, in your mind at the same time when it comes to anticipation, making sure you have a variety of shots while simultaneously keeping their vision in mind. So talk about that.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I think as you're taking photos, for me at least, I'm constantly thinking about the edit. And maybe this is because I'm coming from a world of video production. And as I'm shooting, my intention is always to capture what is unfolding and to be a witness to these experiences that are unfolding in front of me. And I think the best thing that you can do to do those experiences justice and to capture them honestly is to just pay attention. I know I've said pay attention a lot in this episode, but I think really the best thing that you can do for people is to have that discernment and attention to detail and thoughtfulness and that ability to just look beyond what you know and your experiences, because the more we can open ourselves up to what could be true for them, their experiences. And yes, I have, questionnaires and a workflow and process that helps me get to know my couple before I ever put a camera in their face. That I feel is really important because I'm never just showing up on the day. That to me is criminal. Like the idea of just, hello, I'm your wedding photographer. Let's create these really intimate, personal photos is crazy. So I think, having an engagement shoot before the wedding, capturing rehearsal dinner, their civil ceremony, all of these things gives us the opportunity for them not only to see how I work and direct, but for me to understand them better, to really get a glimpse into their love and life and the care they have for one another, the glances, the in-between moments. The more I know this sounds crazy, but like study them, the better I can capture them in a light that they'll love.
I appreciate that you use the word glimpse because I personally think that photographs of all kinds are almost like windows to a place, to a moment, to a person. And you talk about your work being heirloom, right? And hoping that it has a legacy. So there will be people looking at these photographs that were not on the day there for whatever reason. Maybe it's their kids, so they didn't exist at the time, or friends that couldn't make it. So how does that tie into the carefulness that you approach your work? Are you thinking, yes, of course, of the couple first and foremost, but also like the other people that will see this work?
Yeah. So I think when you create anything that is going to have a legacy or is going to live beyond myself and beyond this couple, and like you said, create a window into how it felt. I think the most important thing you can do is care and comfort, and to be the host of their experience, to really guide them and comfort these people during a very stressful time, traditionally stressful time. It's also very exciting, but a high energy time, rather. And I'll bring it back to what we were talking about in the beginning of trust, right? Like if they trust you, if they know that you've got their back, they can be themselves in front of you. And the best thing you can do as, a storyteller, a documentarian, a photographer, we're trying to capture how it felt. And so the more people trust you, the more that you can do that job.
Yeah. You mentioned wanting to be a guide, both, on the day of, leading up to the day of, but when you're behind the camera and in that same room with the couple, how do you know when to step in to guide and lean in versus take a step back for those candid moments like you mentioned earlier?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the question of the year, I think, when you walk in a room and you're so good at this, how do you know and understand where your place is? I mean, it comes back to like, where's our place in the world? How do we feel a sense of belonging? And that might be a lifelong practice, learning. And I believe that when you can, bringing it back to empathy, but really practice that empathy muscle, putting yourself in their shoes, their frustrations, their fears, their excitement, their joy, and just understanding the gravity of these moments. And like we said, the responsibility that you have to capture and be attentive to these moments unfolding. In my experience, that is the best thing that you can do to really preserve those memories. And like we said, we're human. You might miss something, but I think committing to showing up as all of you, not just a photographer that they hired, but a human being. I worked in this palliative care center when I was in high school that was this really profound opportunity to work in hospice. I think it was crazy that they allowed us to do this at such a young age, looking back on it. But that really taught me this like power of presence. And your time is the most valuable thing that you can give someone. It's and that attention and presence will get you so much farther than perfection.
I agree.
Yeah.
Speaking to something that we spoke about earlier of like what it takes to be and to have the role that you do. It's not just clicking the camera, it's also the editing and the creative process and the guiding, you know. You also mentioned having a second shooter, a third shooter, and a team. So let's talk about the importance of that collaborative environment and also continuity between creatives and why that's important to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think when I started this business, I always wanted to have a team. I always wanted this to be collaborative and really, one day I would love to have a space for creatives and something that feels really, you know, exciting and a place for people to land to really expand on their creativity. So I think when I started this, I knew that, you know, the people that you create with matters a great deal. From the world of video production, you know, your AD to your, you know, production assistant to even the PAs running to get coffee, they're all part of the production. So I think like I vetted, you know, the people that are my second shooters. I work with primarily the same second shooter on almost every high-end wedding. And typically, if the wedding is over 100 people, I require a second shooter. I'm not asking my couples, do you want one? Do you not want one? It's something that I'm choosing based on the needs of the celebration. And so these, not only have I given, you know, an SOP of like what my expectations are and things like that, but we've shot together enough that we kind of, and I think this happens really beautifully in a lot of different careers and industries, where when you practice the craft together, you start this kind of symbiotic relationship where I swear my second shooter can read my mind, which I'm so grateful for, because you really, you need that kind of dual relationship and trust. Like we were talking about trust client to photographer, but also that internal trust where, you know, okay, they've got my back. You know, if I am over here comforting, you know, the sister's or the bride's sister because she's having a little mentee bee, like I need to attend to that, because part of the job is, like we said, paying attention. And if that's the need in the moment, I need to trust that my second shooter is grabbing that toast shot, whatever.
And also that synergy that you all create is very important
Great
as
word.
well. I really think that building a community within the creative space is important, not only to you, but also to the cohesiveness of what it takes to put on a wedding and to capture the moment. So let's talk a little bit more about that collaboration, both on wedding day and otherwise. I know that you feel very passionately about developing and supporting other creatives. So how do you do so both in the industry you're directly involved with, which is weddings, and also just in general without overstepping?
Great question. Yeah, I think, well, now as a creative business coach, I launched a course in 2020 and have, you know, been coaching one-on-one with extraordinary photographers and creative entrepreneurs for the past 5 years. And I think what I've learned in that is that we're all really craving being understood. And when you take the risk of whether you're a wedding photographer or another kind of photographer or a different kind of creative business owner, you've taken the risk of uncertainty. And I think collaboration is so important to me, and not even just collaboration, but like depth in relationships. And I think that's how you excel and expand anywhere in life, is being willing to go deep rather than wide. And so in my coaching with creatives, in just going to meetups, in having, you know, co-working dates with my friends, and all of these pieces, it's really made me realize how valuable being able to withstand the discomfort of uncertainty is, because that is what you sign up for as a creative business owner. You are betting on your own creativity. And I think oftentimes where we lack in certainty, where we might lack in strategy, you lean on momentum. You lean on this empathy. You lean on your ability, to withstand feeling a little bit uncertain and having the bravery to do it anyway. And I think that's what pulls people together. Those are the kind of creatives I want to work with.
And also those who crave a sense of community, because they
Yes.
become your support system, like you were
100%.
mentioning just now. You also, through your coaching and actively practicing what you preach, right? That is something that not many do. You know, there's some who dip into coaching and they're no longer actively in the field. So why is juggling both and being an active coach while still actively practicing photography, why is that a non-negotiable for you?
Oh my gosh. And listen, I can't say that it'll always be a non-negotiable.
For now.
There might be a day where I lean more into one
Yeah.
and let go of another. But for now, in this season of business, it is so imperative to me to be teaching on the skill that I'm actively practicing and the industry that I'm actually playing the game in, because it changes so quickly, for one. And there is just such an opportunity to continue learning from my couples, from other industry professionals, and to, like you said, continuing that connection and collaboration with other amazing artists. We are constantly learning from the world around us, that to be, you know, not isolated, but to be without that, I think for one, I would just miss it, because photography is so much a part of my love language and what I've just, you know, totally fallen in love with sharing and doing as an artist, that I think being an artist in that way really informs how I coach, mentor, and teach other creatives and photographers. And without that, I think, you know, like I said, there might be a day where that's different, but right now I feel like that gives me an edge as a coach that allows me to see the full picture. I take a really holistic approach when I am working with other artists. And so being able to still actively be shooting and in this industry allows me this kind of full picture when I am showing up and working with other creatives to say, hey, look, I've been there.
Speaking of I've been there, what is something that you teach and have learned through your experience that you wish you were taught earlier, or like you wish that you knew many years ago?
Oh my God. I mean, let's talk about perfectionism and comparison.
Oh my gosh, yes. Seriously.
Where do we want to start? I mean, I think, let me think about this. There is so much bundled up in this idea of the need to be perfect. And I have been plagued with this for a long time. And I think having parents that were super high achieving and really prioritize their careers over family, over being at home, I saw that productivity was a pathway to love and was a pathway to success. And so I think now, you know, being able to kind of extract that. Yeah, we obviously the saying comparison is the thief of joy is so insanely true, but I wish that that little girl who desperately wanted her own business, who desperately wanted a place in the world, I wish I could tell her, and I think in a way I did do this, but I wish I leaned into it a little bit more, that presence will get you so much farther than perfection. And where you're lacking, like we kind of said, where you're lacking in certainty or strategy, you can really make up in momentum or just the kind of beginner's naivety or ambition and just ability to take the next step.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You're so right. And I think the way that you worded that reflects how careful you are and how much you love what you do and how thoughtful you are around it.
How do you feel about it? I'm curious, like, give me another take, because this is something that really like plays in my mind a lot. And
Yeah.
I am constantly trying to get better at having the tools to help guide and teach my couples and my coaching clients, because it's something that really affects all of us.
So I have two takes on like something that I wish I learned earlier or something that I preach because I know it to be true. The first is one of the reasons that I created this podcast, which is no path is ever linear, no journey is ever linear. And as a result, really being focused on like the next thing, or like I'm not successful, or I won't celebrate until I've done XYZ. It's so toxic because I think we're constantly chasing as a result, and you don't actually take a second to pause and first of all be like, wow, I am where I am now, and this is what I dreamt of a couple years ago, or
Totally.
this seemed unattainable. Number one. And then also number two, I do think that the detours in the journey are so beautiful because they teach you, number one, they teach you so much. And also, in my experience, very fortunately, and knock on wood, hopefully it continues that way, the outcome is much better than I could have ever imagined, you know? And so trusting the process and trusting that as long as you're doing things with your heart and with the best intentions, and you're putting the hard work to get to that whatever next thing is, it'll all be okay. So that's number one. Trust the process, and the journey is non-linear. And then also number two, relying on external validation is what I mean by that is it's poison.
Yes.
Do not do that.
Don't do.
Do not do. There's so much power as well in the words and the words that we say about ourselves and actually put out there, and also the thoughts that we internalize, like truly so much power. And so I think really practicing what we preach in terms of like, I've had to do a lot of like mindset switching and be like, the same advice that I give a loved one, I deserve that same advice, and it applies to me just as much.
Say louder for the people in the
whatever
back.
reason, though, it's harder to take your own advice, you know, because self-doubt comes into play and all of that bad stuff. So those are two things that I would say, and I think it applies across industries. I think it also applies regardless of the experience level. Those are things that even the most experienced, the most senior people still face. I mean, imposter syndrome is another one, like questioning why you are where you are, you know, and it's like, no. Owning up to it, and the fact that like everything you've done up until this moment is because you deserve to be here, and you know, there's a place at the table, like you mentioned as well. That's, I'm a firm believer in that, and the abundance mindset as well, of like, why tear someone down or make it harder for them to get to where I am, where I can pull someone up? You know, someone has paved the way for us to get here as well, so like, why not pay it forward? I do believe in good karma as well. So
100%.
that dictates a lot of that.
You're all walking, talking, real validation of everything you just said, because I feel like being able to be scared and do it anyway, having that bravery is at the core of leading yourself. And I think a lot of times it's like, it's so easy to get trapped in the self-doubt poison spiral, listening to external validation. But I think the power of like putting the horse blinders on and keeping your eyes on your own paper and still balancing collaboration, connection, community is power.
Yes, I agree. I know you have exciting things coming up. So if I may ask, what are some inside scoops or any exclusive that you can give us about stuff you're working on, something we can look forward to, anything and everything you want to share? The floor is yours.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I could gab with you all day, but a few exciting things coming up. I'm super excited to be launching the first ever digital artist residency of its kind for creative entrepreneurs.
Okay.
It'll be launching mid-March. It is an exclusive space for artists, photographers, creatives alike, female entrepreneurs, to come and really refine their craft, their business, the next stage of their artistry. And I'm so excited about it because it's been really such a labor of love to create and bring into this world. And it's something that I think I really needed many years ago and would love to be able to gift to other creatives. I want to keep it intentionally intimate so that everyone can have this really beautiful transformation. Super excited about that. There might be even a few in-person elements if you're in New York City. So that's really fun and exciting.
Okay. Before you tell us more about other things coming up, I want to ask, what about it makes it first of its kind? I know you personally, and I also know your work, so I would never question that. But for those who haven't gotten the pleasure to do either of those, tell us more about why this is so unique and obviously special to you personally and professionally as well.
Totally. So I've always been inspired by these artist residencies, these spaces where you can go or get invited, rather, to go to a gorgeous location. Belmont actually did one a few months ago that I was super inspired by. gorgeous company. If you haven't seen, obviously check them out. This is not sponsored, but Belmont, if you want to send me somewhere, I'm all ears. And they have this gorgeous train, and they also have, stunning hotels. And all that to say, I was really inspired by the scope of what this opportunity and experience was for artists.
Okay.
Today, we are all so busy, but that doesn't mean that growing our businesses stops or should be stunted, right? And so I think there's a huge, I think there's a really big group of people, of female entrepreneurs that are not in the beginning stages of their business and are not where they want to be yet. And they have the experience, they have the talent. They maybe even are close to having the mastery, but they're still kind of lacking those soulmate clients that really value them. Maybe they're still lacking that freedom that got them into entrepreneurship in the first place. And so I really want to create a digital place for them to land, this almost mastermind group of like-minded female creatives that not only will we be doing these amazing thought-led seminars, but we'll also have this incredible group to lift each other up, to find new avenues and ideate and bring their businesses to this exceptional next level. And so I've only ever seen artist residencies that are either very, very expensive and unattainable, or in a physical place that a lot of people can't get to, or they require so much time commitment that people can't take time away from their families, their children, their jobs. And it's totally okay if you have another job, right? A lot of creatives are pursuing their business while still having another job. So I wanted to make it really accessible for everyone.
I love that. You mentioned wanting it to make it intimate. So will there be an application process? Will this be an invite only? What is the rough number? Tell me more.
Yeah. So my hope is to cap it at 10.
Wow. Super intimate indeed. I love that.
Yeah. And it'll be, oh my God, I'm so excited. And it'll be, really thoughtful curation of artists.
Okay.
I'm going to be extending an application to people through Instagram and through my private community of past coaching clients.
That's so exciting. I'm so proud of you.
Oh my gosh, thanks.
I could tell how excited you are. Your eyes are literally like glistening. And I know those watching or listening maybe can't see that, but just take my word for it.
It's the negative 5 degrees out.
I love that. Okay. Anything else you would like to share? What's coming down the pipeline? Any other inside scoop? Any exclusives?
Oh my gosh, thank you. Okay. Oh yes. Okay. So tomorrow, no,
Yesterday,
for the first time ever, I will be featured in British Vogue, which I'm very excited about. I want to be totally candid that this is a paid advertisement. Okay. It's something that I'm very proud of and excited about. They reached out. I think there's a lot of talk online about what's an ad, what's promotion, paid, not paid. And at the core of my business is honesty, transparency. I want other creatives to feel like this is possible for them and to kind of squash any, comparison or doubt, because I've had so much of that when I have looked to other creatives and felt like I couldn't see the full picture. So this is something that I'm really doing for this 13-year-old in me that bought Teen Vogue and was just it feels really good. And I feel really excited to honor her and honor that little girl with this accomplishment. And it's a 3-month feature. Okay. So it's part of their bridal campaign. So you will be able to get those on stands.
That's exciting. So they are already on stands as of yesterday. And is it a spread? I mean, you said it was an advertisement of sorts.
Yes.
So what can people expect to see?
So monthly, my understanding is that British Vogue selects a few different photographers.
Okay.
And you can sign up to be in part of the bridal campaign. It also will be digital and in print. So yeah, you can get them. I am very excited and feel really lucky to be able to feature some of my amazing couples and planners and other vendors that I've gotten to work with in this exciting accomplishment.
That is exciting indeed. I want to know what that level of visibility could potentially translate to. So it is an investment of some sort, right? And you're taking a chance on yourself as well as honoring your younger self.
Yeah.
So talk about that as well of like, yes, it's a great thing to talk about, obviously, but what could that look like in the future, having made this decision?
Totally. Well, of course. So when I received the request to be in this bridal campaign, they share that what their visibility stats are and who it's going to be in front of. The hope is that it will reach like-minded couples who are planning intentional and thoughtful celebrations across the world. I primarily serve New York City, the East Coast, and Europe. So my hope is that it'll reach couples that are planning really thoughtful celebrations, and they'll see if my work resonates with them.
Oh, and I'm sure it will. I'm sure your inbox will be inundated with requests. I want to end off on a personal note because you have mentioned it, but we haven't formally talked about it. You are engaged yourself and you are planning a wedding. And so I want to ask you two things. The first is, how has your love story, being friends first, having worked at a restaurant, then, getting engaged here in New York, shaped your approach to photographing love?
Oh my gosh. Cata, you're just getting into all of it. So Connor and I have been friends for over 10 years. We met working at a restaurant in upstate New York in my hometown, near his hometown. And the first thing I ever remember is I can laugh my ass off and I feel so safe with him. And that has really informed a lot of my other relationships and given me this trust and belief in myself to really protect my energy. Having this safety with him and this real true foundation of friendship is something I'm so immensely grateful for, and is really inspired how I see love. And if I'm being honest, I've learned a lot about love from my couples, and Connor teaches me about love and partnership every single day as we have really grown up together and learned how to evolve to each other's needs. And, it's just been such a beautiful arc that I'm really, really grateful for. And I think, just being able to grow and learn and evolve with one another has been such a gift.
Yeah. As you prepare to be on the other side of the
Oh my
lens
God.
and on the other side of the work that you do, which is as a bride, how has it been easier because you know what to look for, and how has it been harder for that exact same reason? I feel like your work has served as research, field research for what is out there, for what you could choose from what is worth investing in versus what isn't, that simultaneously fits, your vision and your needs for that day.
Totally. And listen, part of me has such conviction and certainty around what I want and what I don't want. And then there's also this part of me that's dealing with extreme decision paralysis. So I want to honor both sides and be very honest that it is okay as an industry professional to feel a little scattered and uncertain, because I have seen so many gorgeous ways of celebrating love. I also know that those celebrations aren't necessary to validate your love and relationship. Both can exist. And so I think finding a happy medium, finding something that feels resonant and real for us, it has been this kind of interesting and fun information acquisition stage, if I want to put it really analytically. But it's also just been a time where we've been enjoying our engagement. We've been loving living in New York City. We're planning to potentially make a big life move. And so I think just being able to kind of experience this exciting chapter and not putting so much pressure on it has been really lovely, and trusting myself that the answers will come and the way that our wedding is supposed to be will unfold just as it's meant to.
And I hope that it will exceed your dreams as well. That's what everybody can hope for. Yeah. All right. We're going to end on a fun note with some rapid fires, okay?
I'm so excited. Okay, hit me.
To kick us off, what's a creative rule that you love breaking?
Oh my gosh. Creative rule I love breaking. Oh my gosh. This isn't rapid. Wait, this is so fun. Creative rule that I love breaking. Why is this taking me so long to think about? Hold on. I have to meditate on this. But that's not a rule. What I was going to say is overthinking always leads to failure. So your first gut instinct is usually the path.
Ooh,
So
okay.
like really trust, like it is a muscle. Practicing that intuition, I think, is typically what you should go with, whether it's something you're drawn to or whatever.
Okay, what's one thing you're still becoming?
Patient.
Ooh, same. One word you want your work to be known for, or known as more so than anything.
Home.
Love that. Sunrise or sunset shoots?
Oh my gosh. Wow. I thought I had an answer. Sunset.
Okay. Overly produced or candid shots?
Candid. With a mix
Of asterisk?
with a mix of intention and slight direction when the time is right.
Okay. Motion or stillness?
Motion.
I love. What's in your bag on a shoot day?
Gosh. Okay, so many of those lens wipes because I have really long fingers and I'm constantly touching the lens.
Okay.
And I talk with my hands, so 100 lens wipes.
Okay.
My Zeiss 55 lens, my 2 Sony cameras. I always bring disposable cameras, which I really love to infuse the kind of like that nostalgic feel. What else is in my bag? Oh, protein bar, because hanger is real. And 100 different kinds of chapstick, lip gloss.
Love.
Can't live without.
Love. Black and white or color?
Black and white.
The most underrated moment of a wedding day?
I'm going to go a little bit outside the box and say rehearsal dinner, and it's when everyone arrives and is hugging the couple for the first time.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, picking back off of that, the moment you always watch for during a wedding. So, for example, for me, I look at the groom and then I look at the bride when they walk down the aisle.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, when everyone sits down to have dinner, the couple holding hands under the table.
Oh,
Or like the little rub on the back.
I'm an
or
under
just-
the table hand holder too. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay. Second to last question. A detail that couples think doesn't matter but actually does.
Chairs.
What about chairs?
Chairs are in my fiance's going to laugh because I've been a chair fanatic for our wedding.
Okay.
Chairs are everything. They are in just about as many photos as you, the couple, are in. Chairs. They're in the ceremony. They're in the reception. Sometimes they're even in cocktail hour. If you have ugly chairs, it'll be in a lot of your photos. And ugly chairs are subjective. I'm not the chair police, but I think nice chairs really elevate a wedding.
Noted. Super noted. First time I hear that. Last question. The hardest emotion to photograph.
Anticipation.
Okay.
It's the hardest and it's the most exciting. The moment before the first look, the moment before you walk down the aisle. It's like it's such a breath of emotion, so it can look different on everyone.
Okay. To close us out, anything personally or professionally, a dream of yours that you want to manifest and speak into existence?
I love that you ask people this. One day, I would love a physical space for creatives to come together, a place that really supported the whole creative, a place where you could get massages and also co-work, a place where you could record podcasts and also get acupuncture, this wellness check-in community space that really filled the whole person. It's a
I
dream.
love that. And where can people find your work if they're not familiar with it already?
Okay. Thank you. I am at Leandra Creative Co. Photography on Instagram. Also Lee Creative Coach for the coaching and mentor side of things. I'm also at leandracreativeco.com and now in Vogue on stands as of yesterday.
Amazing.
British
Thank
Vogue.
you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
I
you,
hope you had
Cata.
as much fun as I did.
I had a blast. You're an incredible interviewer.
I can't wait to see where else your work takes you around the world and otherwise.
Thank you. And red nails.
Oh my God,
forever.
red nails we love, and all the rings and jewelry.
All the rings.
Thank you all for listening and watching. Until next time.